Hello, 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 hello.
Hi. Hi.
So we want to welcome you to episode 8
Episode 8.
of Technically Speaking with DTL.
Ultra.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice little bilingual little movement in there. Okay, I
Throw it
see
on
you.
in there.
See you, Leash.
Ice.
I'm Jillian.
I'm Jasmine.
Alesheia.
All right, so today we are talking about being black at work or black at work.
At work.
Black at work.
Blackity black.
Black.
Okay.
At work.
At work.
At work. And what does that mean? To be black at work. So I think we got some good little conversation pieces that can be had on this topic in itself. You know, we've talked about do degrees matter. We've talked about
What happens
once you
next.
get your degree,
Yep.
what needs to happen. So hopefully after you get your degree,
You get a job.
you get a job, you go to work.
Craig.
You like how I fed that into that? You like how I just
Segued into what
segued into what we're doing
It
today?
just gels
Right.
together.
happened. So once you get that job,
Yes.
now you're black.
Yes.
At said job,
At said job.
what happens then?
Come on with it.
Do you have to do extra to keep that job? Now
Do
that
you?
you got that job?
Do you have to conceal your blackness at your job?
Because though your skin is black, they might want you to be white on the inside, Oreo.
Or do you have to be overqualified? Do you have to constantly prove yourself? These are things we are going to talk about. Yeah.
These are the things.
So the first one, code switching.
Ooh.
What is it?
Hey.
How do you do it? When is it necessary?
First of all, code switching is a skill you should have anyway.
Period.
Like,
It needs to be a tool in your toolbox.
it needs to be a tool. I think it's something that you definitely have to, do. We're not saying that you have to be the great pretender and, not be yourself. But I do think that you have to know when to turn it off and on. And what is it, you may ask?
Is it slang, twang, different things. Even recognizing the HBCU, the way you talk to somebody. I learned a long time ago, but you put on your grammar as you put on your clothes. In the same way as you put on your code or how you talk to somebody as you put on your clothes. So when you're going to the workplace, you're not going to wear your club clothes, so you ain't going to be talking like waka waka waka. But if you may talk a certain way with your boss, but when you meet with the so we work at a university, so the president or the chancellor, you're not going to talk the same way unless you all have reached that level. But even then, you're still going to have some level of decorum to make sure that you're going to have, show at least respect, or for others be able to tap into that respect. So I think that's one thing. But also, not just written, but it's body language. And it also comes down to, that's it, written, not just talking, but also written format as well, right? So you may be cool with someone, but I'm going to tell you, always try your hardest in writing to keep it 110% clear, written, and even if you have to over-explain. And the reason why is because the only thing, people can talk about your interactions via mouth, code switching, but somebody will take that piece of paper and use it against you and say, see, this is the way she writes. Her grammar is bad. There's only one example, and they try to use it against you. So that code switching.
Check, double check, check your spelling, read it out loud, send it to a friend, do what you have to do to make sure that they have nothing to be like, oh, look, she can't talk, she's not well educated because she left out a comma.
Right. I know. When I think of code switching, I just think of it as adapting to whatever environment you're in. So if I'm at work, there's a work Jasmine. If I'm at home, there's a home Jasmine. If I'm, like you said, in front of the president of the university, my home Jasmine is not going to meet the president of the university. So wherever I am, I'll just adapt to that situation. Not saying like I'm not faking it. I'm just being the person that is best suited for where I am at the time.
Well, somebody said know how to read a room.
Right. Read the room.
And just because you said that there's a work Jasmine and there's a home Jasmine and there's a, maybe outdoorsman, I'll say Jillian. Like, the Jillian I am and at work is not the Jillian you'll see if I was to say in Farmers Union. Or if I was in Winston, or if I was out and about And that's not saying that that's not Jillian. That's just a version of myself. I think that, that's part of evolving, knowing that there are different parts of you that,
multifaceted.
that can come out at different times. And you just have to know that even if you were having a conversation about like, oh, we're hiking, I'm still at work, so I'm not going to slip into hiking, Jillian, I'm still at work. We're going to have a discussion. Like, we can talk about these things, but I have to make sure that I am speaking in a way that puts my best self forward.
One thing I always say is like culture doesn't start in the workplace, it starts at home, right? So there's some things but it trickles over to the workplace.
Right.
So there's certain things, even if you're dealing with different cultures, right? So I know I may not say good morning or something all the time. It's going to make me sound like I'm mean or rude, but I don't say good morning all the time. I may say, hey. But I know that if I'm meeting an older Hispanic person, I know that I have to greet them with the greeting of the day. Hey, buenas, blah, 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 and speak to them in that language. But also if I know somebody who's from Thailand, and they may not say like, oh, you don't have to greet me that way. But in Thailand, it depends on, I might say Thai, like a Mai or something like that. But it's certain levels of how high or low you do it based off of how high they are in the industry. In the culture, like a priest or something like that. Yeah, teacher or something like that. But what I'm saying is, as you go into these workplaces, it's weird because yes, we are Black, right? But you kind of also have to be considerate of the other cultures that are in the workplace too, which is the hardest part because it seems like nobody's considerate of the Black person that just like, don't say that to me, but we have to be able to, you know what I mean?
I think that even like cultural doesn't even just mean Black. Like this is the South. Say you're like a Southerner.
So when you walk good morning.
Yeah, when you walk into a room, it is up to you to speak. Like it doesn't matter who speaks first, somebody needs to speak. And I mean, I think that you better speak, or saying thank you when somebody holds the door, but that's a whole nother thing. But I'm just saying, when we're talking about cultures, you also have to recognize, because as you get your jobs, they may take you different places.
Right.
So say you're from up north, and I remember I used to get into it with my friend from New York all the time, because we would be walking around campus, and Southerners, we just speak. Them, no, but we made eye contact, we gotta speak, and don't just look at me and walk off. You may not have seen it as being rude and disrespectful and mean muggish, but at the same time,
it is. But you have to adapt to your surroundings.
You have to adapt. So if you get a job in the South and you from, up north where you don't speak normally, you have to adapt. And I mean, it's not just about being Black. It's just the way it is. That's the culture down here. We speak. Right.
This reminds me of that Insecure episode in the very first season where Molly is the one of the only Black faces in her law firm. And then they hire another young Black lawyer who is on point in all other areas except her professionalism. And she brought her outside self into her office. So she's loud and she's finger snapping and she's doing all the things that she would do on the weekends.
Right.
But she has brought it to work. And it's to the point where she is sticking out like a sore thumb. And not because of her work ethic. It's because of her behavior. And it got to the point where they had to have a conversation with her because it didn't fit the culture of her law firm.
Yeah.
So what do y'all think about that?
So I can't remember if Molly had the conversation or
they asked her to, and she didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
No, she tried to do it.
Yeah.
She tried to do it, and homegirl was like, I didn't tone myself down in my interview. I didn't tone myself down in college, so I'm not going to tone myself down here.
Sometimes you have to let people
tear their draws.
Tear their draws, give them enough rope to hang themselves with, or let them trip on their own. Jill is from the South, right? So tear their draws. I had never heard that.
I'm Southern.
You gotta let people do their own thing, and that first write up or that first conversation that may come from the other side, somebody that doesn't look like them, that little piece that gives them a little bit of ouch, oh my, because remember talking about the humble part of it?
Yeah.
You have to be humble enough to receive that, or let them get their own things. You may be the one to communicate that.
I can't believe I said that.
But it slipped out. So that was Farmers Union.
I mean, that was the Farmers Union, Jillian.
But you know what? That's
what it means.
Yes. You learn so much, though, also from things that people say or do. So that's one thing I was going to say is when you get there, you got to know you're not Jim, Jill, and Jack or whatever. Well, you're Jill, but
I am Jill.
It is.
Which is our next thing. So what is, it looked like to be a professional. We know that as Black women, our crowns can be so diverse, so beautiful, and, also a topic of discussion. And not just women. This is a man thing too, because there are conversations about dreads and
the new haircut,
or locks.
little,
exactly.
I love it.
Everybody is not going to wear their hair in a certain manner. Like, everybody's not going to be relaxed. Everybody's not going to be clean cut. I'm going to just go to the barbershop every week, type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But is it something that you should consider we're going to get a job?
So I think, I hate to say this, but there are some styles of natural hair that I think are starting to be more accepted, right? So like the little poof or whatever at the top, as long as which is weird, as long as your edges are straight. Or, it's like, everything is straight back, right? But I know, like, sometimes people say, well, I'm not going to go to get an interview. I was going to get braids, but I'm not going to get the braids because I'm going to an interview. Mm-hmm. But Jasmine has a cute bun at the top of her head, and it doesn't affect the ability of her to do her job.
Keep going.
Then I actually, for years, I've had natural hair, but my texture is different from some other people. So I've never been bothered by having natural hair. But now I've transitioned over to having locks. So now am I apprehensive? Yes and no, because will I be received as far as like, oh, she has those locks on her head? Yeah. But I think it also depends on the industry that you're going into as well. So in tech, because even then, Black women don't just have hair issues. We have tattoos. We have body shapes that, Brenda wears the same dress I have on. It's cute.
It's completely different.
With me wearing this, Dr. B, where you going? Okay, you might want to cover up. Right. What am I covering up?
I have feelings about this topic.
So,
because I always get caught into the curvy girl, watch what you wear or watch how it fits you.
Watch what you looking at.
Yeah. That's what it should be. Watch where your eyes go, because it wouldn't matter what I have on. My curves aren't going anywhere, but I've been in that seat and I get frustrated with it. So I am cautious about what I wear, where I wear it, and who I'm going to see when I have certain things on. Just because I've been looked at or I've been pulled to the side. Hey, I know these are I know these are the rules, but maybe for you should consider So
what they say in the handbook. Now I'm quick to say
right, because I get a second set of rules sometimes. But then on the hair side, when I went natural and I cut all my hair off, my grandmother had a fit. Honey. You won't get no job. Ooh. How you can't go out, because her thing is you got to play the game to get to where you want to be. But keep in mind, my grandma is as light as they come with the finest of hair. And for the longest time, I always looked at her and I was like, no, you would have been accepted into more doors that I would not have been able to get into because of the way you look. But for her, I try to keep my head down and not be noticed because I don't want to be seen as just a skin color and a texture. So it's weird. I don't like the rules that come around our hair. I don't think it's fair. It does not affect the ability to do our jobs, but it is the first thing that you see.
And just like a natural hairstyle, right? A wig can be unprofessional too, because if your hair is lopsided,
all of this, because it's a double standard. All of this can be looked at and perceived different ways, right? And it does depend on your industry.
But okay, so let's talk about playing the game then. Let's flip it.
Okay.
So you are brand new, fresh off the press, just got my degree. I am looking for a job in corporate America. Should you not play by the rules? Think about like Molly. Okay, because you brought Molly up from Insecure. Molly always wore, weaves and wigs to showcase,
but they were always pressed.
They were always pressed. It was never like a kinky wig or, a kinky style or curls. It was always straight perfection. She has on a suit. She has on a button up. She's always very, very conscious of her opinion. And of course she had to do that because of
she had to get into
the firm she was at.
The firm she was at, and she had to get to the place she was. Like, you have to climb that ladder. Right. So should you play the game?
I think you should play the game.
I'm going to play the game.
Until you can... Until you're respected enough?
I'm going to play the game until I can make the rules, which is always has been my motto. I'm going to do what I got to do right now until I can get to a position where I don't have to. And then hopefully I can open the doors for the next few who come in, where I'm going to say, you don't have to press your hair for the interview. Come on in with these box braids, because I'm not looking at your hair. I'm looking at what you can do.
Right. And I've shown you I can do these things. Like I have my portfolio to back it up. I have my things. Like you have to give me my things, because I've already progressed past this, which is a beautiful place to be.
And even then, getting to the whole being professionalism wise, like I think it's but being professional. Aside with the hair, the look. Even, like, it's hard because with body language, I get an issue. I mean, so I have a face that shows everything I'm feeling. So I've been in meetings and corporate-wise, and even on this side of the education side, my boss used to pinch me at my old job. First of all, I'm like, would she pinch me? But, because I'm like, I'm not in church, and you're still, so, but she was like, fix your face. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything, but I've recognized that sometimes I do have to smile, even though, I'm not really feeling that. And I think that's something you have to be cognizant of while you are at the workplace, about your facial expressions, your hair. I mean, it's being black at work is so hard because it's like I can't just show up and do my job.
Yeah,
I gotta
every piece
come in here and have a whole anxiety attack.
Will be scrutinized. Unfortunately, like they can come in with the same gray pants. I mean, I'm just talking about in general.
Smell like cigarettes.
Well, I ain't gonna take it that far.
But they can be a Tide. And
yes, we know about Tides. Yeah, we're not even gonna go into what Tides
or not even be professional though, right? So they don't give a courtesy call.
No, they
don't
can do the
morning.
very least. And so that brings us to our next point. Is it true that we have to work twice as hard to get? Did I skip some stuff? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But is that part of our unwritten rules? Because we already know as black people and as women, so we are
double
fisted. More of this. But do we have to work harder to get to a place where others might not have to work as hard?
Of course we do.
Yeah.
Of course we do.
Absolutely.
It's not designed for us. This, the come up is not designed for that whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps and the American dream. That wasn't designed for us.
Not in a country that wasn't designed for us.
Mm-hmm. In a historical sense, like I'm not just saying that, I can back it up with facts.
Right.
Like this was not designed for us. So yes, we do have to work.
When you say us, do you mean women or black people or both?
Both.
Because even if you think about it, we first of all black people, and this is a very passionate topic of mine. That's why I'm not talking as much, because I can get out here.
We can go there. We have facts.
My dissertation was on this, so this is my baby. So I'm gonna just shut up a little bit. But if you think about redlining, right? So let's start at redlining. The American dream to own a home. It was never meant for us, and it's still happening. I've been in a process of buying a house for a year. Recently, my realtor asked me to put a picture of me with a letter, and I didn't want to because I didn't think I was going to get the house just because I was black. This is 2021.
Yeah.
Then, that's a fact.
Then, I'm trying not to get emotional because that's deep, but also because I love this topic. But also the fact that black women could not vote. Women's suffrage was happening since the 1800s. They didn't get the right to vote until 1920.
But that wasn't
black women didn't get the right to vote until 1965 with the Voting Rights Act. So black men got the right to vote. Nobody stopped.
Partial at first.
Yes, at partial, because it was a tax part of that or just some weird crap. But then what happened was nobody went to bat for us and said, get them ladies the right to vote. We had to go out there on our own. So no matter what your organization was doing in 1913, 1908, no black woman got the right to vote until 1965. So nobody cared about us until 1965. Even then, we were still struggling to get equal pay. For every dollar that a white man with an associate's degree gets, a black woman gets $10,000 less with a bachelor's degree. So it's like none of this was designed for us when it comes to working. When it comes to careers, we didn't get careers outside the home until World War II, was it? When all the men had left and they said, let them girls start sewing clothes, and then things started happening for us. So even then, like, black women still weren't working because that's when we had to get...
we were working.
We just weren't at the home or the black community.
Right.
Or they wanted us to sew their clothes, right? Or we bought it. And it's crazy to me because I get so upset about it and so emotional about it because we are literally now we're starting to show up and we are saving America, countries, number one, saving businesses, saving people's homes because we do stuff at home. The counseling we do, we don't even have therapy degrees. But the stuff that when John or Jill not Jill, let's go with another name.
It's a name.
Sarah.
What's the name?
Sarah or John is having issues at home. They come talk about it at the workplace. I'm going to tell you how many women I have saved by telling them, get your stuff together, girl. Do this. And they're like, you just make it like it's so easy. I don't have a choice. And it's not always a compliment to tell a black woman, you're so strong. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice.
Never had a choice.
You don't have
never
a choice
get to take the cap off. We never get to take the cape off.
Yes.
You know, we never get that moment. So do we have to work twice as hard? Yes.
Yes,
we have to work twice as hard.
We got to be your friend, your coworker, your accountant.
But I'm disagreeing. No, I'm disagreeing with that.
We don't have to be a friend. That's true.
No. I'm disagreeing with all that. Yes, I have to work twice as hard, but I don't have to do all that extra stuff.
I don't have to take care of it.
That's true.
And I think that has to go with boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, you know, setting those boundaries at work that at first we couldn't. Yes, we have to pick up the slack.
Yeah.
At first to get to where I'm going, but all that extra stuff, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Because work is work. If I am doing what I'm supposed to do, because they get to do just
their job,
just what they are paid to do, and then they don't think about it again. All this, I'm Superwoman jumping over the bridge to save so and so because he didn't do his part, so I can't do my part. No.
But that's funny because this year I said we're not doing their job this year, and it's hard.
It's hard.
It is, but it's a starting place.
Yes.
And I feel like, this generation of women, I feel like this generation of black people, period, have stood up in a way that other people in past generations haven't been able to.
Right.
And it's scary for older generations to see us taking these chances and making these changes and being fearless in these avenues. But they don't understand that we are doing this because of you. We saw how you had to shrink yourself.
We saw the trauma.
Yes, to make opportunities for us. So yes, I'm wearing my natural hair, and my grandmother may not like it, but I'm doing it because you weren't able to do what you wanted to do when you were.
And I like it.
Yes, and and I like it, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep standing up in this way because I mean, as black women, we do specialize in the impossible. You're not going to give us all the money, watch us get all the degrees, and then you're going to have to pay us more, even though it's not.
It's not fair.
It's not fair, and it's not an easy job. But who's going to tell me no?
And then it goes to the point you said. Boundaries, right?
Yeah.
So when we start setting those boundaries and we start standing up for ourselves or showing up for ourselves, then all of a sudden we become the ABW, the angry black woman. And it is hard to try to change narrative because I found myself where I'll say something in writing and I'll pick up the phone and say, hey, I just wanted to communicate kind of the last email. I didn't want you to feel like I was being, I was mad about it or I was upset about anything. I'm just, communicating. Nobody does that because they send an email and they send it any kind of way and you be sitting at your desk like, and I say, what?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So, now I'm calling you for clarification.
Right. Like, let me get this straight. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we're hostile or what is it? Assertive. Not assertive.
Assertive.
We say assertive, right? But we're hostile or we're aggressive. There we go. Because, you've approached me this certain way. Now I'm gaining clarity and understanding. So that's an angry. That makes me angry.
Yeah, it does make me angry to be labeled as the angry black woman.
To have to even have that because if somebody else were to do it, it would not be a question. I mean, and I think that's a form of oppression, but we're not going to talk about that.
This is showing great leadership skills, Sarah. Sarah, this is great leadership. Can you take a more
we really
appreciate
role? Todd, we really appreciate what you said in that meeting in there. But I mean, like I said, I feel like that's a form of oppression. But I do feel like
microaggression,
right, and a microaggression. But with those boundaries, it is okay to be black at work and set boundaries. It is okay. It is okay to take your lunch break that you are not getting paid.
It's required by law.
Right.
I'm so sorry,
you are not getting paid to work. Tell your job. But you are not getting paid to work afterwards. Like, yes, sometimes you're going to have to do a little extra. But it doesn't have to be an everyday thing. It doesn't have to be every day you get off, you go home, and you keep working. That's not, you set those boundaries. No, I'm going to eat dinner, I'm going to take a shower, and I'm going to watch Netflix. Or, you know, so setting those boundaries. No, you're not going to come into my office and talk to me like that. I do not appreciate using your words. You're not going to talk to me like that. If you would like to talk about this, you can say it this way, or I will receive it better this way. Those type of boundaries is what's going to keep us in these spaces.
Emotional intelligence, too.
Right. And no, I'm not going to get in a yelling match with you. I'm not going to go back and forth via email with you. I'm setting these boundaries.
So have you ever been in a situation professionally where you've had to assert yourself and set boundaries?
Of course.
Absolutely.
And we're always going to have to do every day, especially as a teacher, because, you know.
I think that's more of my question. In those situations,
what did
were
I do?
Were you the one black person who had to set those boundaries amongst your white peers? And what did you do?
I did not. Okay, so as work-wise and doing all that overworking, going far in between, I did not set those boundaries. And you know what it got me? Nothing. Burnt out, yes.
Burnt out.
But I didn't get a promotion for it. All I got was a thank you sometimes. But as far as, you know, the emails, like the passive-aggressive emails and, you know, the comments, yes, I have had to go in and have a conversation. You know, I'm not going to do it in front of everybody because I don't want everybody trying to jump into and making it bigger than. But I have gone to somebody's classroom before and I was like, hey, I'm going to close the door. Is that okay? And they were like, yeah. I was like, I really want to talk to you because I don't appreciate what you said. My thing is 24 hours. If you said something I don't like, and I'm still upset or it's still bothering me 24 hours later, I have to address it because, you know, sometimes in the moment you heat it. And you're like, oh, I'm going to get them. Don't do that. Don't do that. Give yourself time to process and think about it and get your words together. So, you know, I'll go in there and I'm saying, hey, you know, I don't like what you said. It made me feel this way, and I would appreciate if you didn't do it again.
Emotional intelligence.
Right, because if you do it again, then we're going to have to bring somebody else in. Like, I'm not going to give you the courtesy of this conversation again. I said it.
What about you? The one time where you had to be...
So, before I came to academia, I was usually the only black girl in the room. And I haven't always, well, I'm still not poised. You can get it on any given Sunday. But I've had instances, but I can't say that I've always been, I'm not even going to lie to you. Like, I shoot it to them straight. Like, look, you know, you did this, and I think you've lost your mind. Because there's just no way. There's just no way. Like, I don't talk to you like that, and you're not going to talk to me like that. So we're going to agree to disagree. And it's different, too, because we're in a creative space. Like, so before this, I was an instructional designer, LMS administrator, in the corporate workplace. So it was considered tech still, but then the environment is a little different there. So people are more touchy-feely or whatever, but when it comes to, like, having creative conversations or something like that, it's weird. You can kind of be more direct. And I also have an issue because I was raised in a military family and I was in the military before. So it's hard because in the military, squad up. Let's go. We're going to go out back and we're going to handle this situation. We're going to come in here. We're going to fix our uniforms and we're going to keep it rocking. But in the corporate workplace, it was very difficult for me to switch gears from that. And I just would tell people, like, you said this, and you did this, and that's not true. That's not how we're going to do this and this and this. You know, I'm doing this, and this is how we're going to move forward. And I would follow what I did learn. Let me tell you this now. I wanted to kind of reshift this a little bit because it's not
Why you look at the audience like that?
The other people. It is sometimes
it could be
your own people.
Yes, we can do it.
All kinfolk ain't your kinfolk, okay? Because I had this lady that I worked for, and I was so excited because she looked like me. But boy, did I learn then and there to follow up with everything. When I tell you, if I have a conversation with somebody now, thank you so much for that conversation. The point that you said about this and this, great. Thank you, send, boom, to cover your tail. And I worked in other industries, but you got to cover your tail. They may look like you. They might not look like you. But
you still need to
you at all times have your own back.
I think that brings up a great point about being black at work, because you know you might go into a field and or a career and your boss does look like you and your coworkers do look like you. That does not give you the okay. So, oh, hey girl, what's up? You know, hi, you know, oh, we friends. No, we're coworkers.
Because you're still at work.
You're my boss. And yes, they might try to get comfortable with you. And I'm not saying that friendships cannot form at work, because they can. But take the time to fill out the situation and still be professional. Even if y'all are friends outside of work, at work, y'all are co-workers.
Work.
Right.
That's their code switch.
Because the thing is somebody may be on the inside. And I'm just make it clear. We are very fluid. Not fluid like that, but... I mean, you have to cut that out, Josh.
Oh my God.
We are familiar. We are very familiar. So
very familiar.
From here to right before
what
she said. We are very familiar with each other. We are, we're cool. But people from the outside looking in, they will either feel like, oh, you're not doing your job as a supervisor because you're not, or they don't respect you. So you tell them to do something
job getting
like that.
done?
Right. But the thing is, people are, I don't want to say jealous, but
I can see that.
You know what I mean?
We've been in situations where the direct administrator might not have always liked the camaraderie among the team.
Yes.
And
they may not like the camaraderie, or the fact that they feel like they're always playing. Or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's not even, that's just how we get work done, because I have people that I trust that I don't have to.
Y'all seen that meme where it was like, people say I play too much, but in real life I want to play more.
Right.
I don't know why. I don't know why that popped into my head right now, but it did. Like that, we do not play at work. We get the job done, and we do it, right the first time.
Right.
But it can be done with a smile on the face.
Right.
That's the
You can enjoy your coworkers and your working environment.
But some people think once you're in certain positions that you're not supposed to enjoy work. I mean, it is still work.
Or once you get a certain title, you got to be smug. But
who wants to go to a job they hate? And where you hate your coworkers, you hate your job, you hate your boss, you hate this, you hate that. Nobody wants to be there. Why would you not want to come to a place where you can,
with people you enjoy,
with people you enjoy, doing work you enjoy?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you're more productive.
It increases for the morale.
Right, more productive. Morale. But that's the thing about it. People don't realize that morale is the biggest point. You may not pay people a whole bunch of money.
But if you're paying me and I can get this work done, it's not taking away from my mental health.
Intangible, right?
I do.
Oh, I want to talk about this.
Before
they're students. Hey, students. I want to talk about this before we have to cut, because I feel like we're running a little lengthy. Yes, our producer looking at us strange, y'all. You can't see him. But let's talk about.
He looks strange.
He's looking at us like, I need y'all to stop. Bring it back together. Okay. So last but not least, and this kind of goes with something that Alesheia said earlier, and Jasmine was talking about, like with being curvier at work. So sexuality at work, being over sexualized versus being, seen as a predator.
I'll start. Okay. As the resident curvy girl. At all my jobs.
I'm thick. This quarantine thick.
This is not.
Listen.
Leave that in there.
Please. I meant what I said.
Listen.
Y'all not about to sit here trying to play me. I'm thick.
But this has been an issue for me my whole life. It's been part of my unwritten
rules. I had to fight.
Okay.
All my life.
I'm skinny.
Even in my skinny days, I had humps and lumps in places that would draw attention.
Lady lumps.
Yeah, lady lumps. Let's call them lady lumps.
My lady lumps. Check it out. We're checking it out.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
So it has always been a part of my unwritten rules to be careful about what I wear, how I walk, what shoes I put on with what outfits, because, heels will do something for the body.
Okay.
But even with everything as toned down as I can get it, I have to watch how I speak to people. How many times I say hey to a certain person, because anything can be misconstrued, and the first thing they'll say is,
she wore that dress.
Right.
She
but did you
got
see
that
what
little
she
cut
had
shot on that little wrap dress.
She always wears stuff that hugs her curve, and it just gets to the point where I get so...
I'm not going to wear shit, guys.
But as a black woman, you have to keep those things in mind.
And the thing for me, what I realized is that I was starting to wear a lot of black.
I do.
Or something that's much bigger.
A lot of
so
black,
I wouldn't.
A lot of solid colors, monotone. Don't draw attention to the lumps.
Yeah, and it's so.
Or a girdle. I mean, that's the other thing.
Stay
but
in
see,
shape
that
wear.
goes. Some people say that goes with professionalism.
Yeah,
and to a certain extent, it does. I do not want to ever feel like I wore something that could draw negative attention to myself or whatever I'm representing. So it does go hand in hand with professionalism. But
you know what? To go with girdles, people say like certain bras. I never forget. I worked somewhere and they asked me to have a conversation with the girl about her bra. That's what I'm supposed to say. I'm shopping for cheap ones too.
Why are you looking at it? Why are you looking at it?
Right. I'm like, I didn't really notice.
Okay, so now they're being over-sexualized because you're looking at her bra. Right. Or you're looking at the way her dress is fitting her. And now she's, But
did you look at my work?
Right.
So that is
Did you check out that course I designed?
Now, what you're not going to do is walk in a professional setting in a bandeau dress either. Like, we're going to talk about that. Like, there are levels.
That's
that
true.
Body con. Like, there are levels to this. Like,
very true.
Yes, the body is not an apology. However,
you don't show it.
We'll do an episode on that.
To a body party.
Yeah, we'll do an episode on that one day about professional dress and things. Actually, we might do that next week.
We can.
I mean, it's good for the people to know.
It is.
Yes, and we'll have examples.
Yeah.
So that's the plight for women, but as men, when you go to a
don't wear gray sweatpants to the work function. I'm gonna tell you that for real. Don't wear gray sweatpants to the work function.
Not where I was going with that, but let that be.
Them skinny pants on Jean Day.
I wasn't thinking like that either, but I like that she's. I guess.
Listen, the people need to know. You're right. Don't do those things.
Don't do that, sir. Don't wear that. Please
or be prepared for the attention that's going to come with it. Just like if we were to wear the bodycon to work and be ready to turn our heads.
Right. I think that. I was thinking more along the lines of you have to watch how many times you speak to people and making sure
don't be hugging people.
The hugging, making sure that your door is open.
The rubbing on rubbing folks' shoulders.
The touching while you're talking. Right. And it might be harmless to you. It might be harmless to you, but
it can be seen.
Right. So making sure your door is open when you're talking to people and it's just so. It's just
but
so
you know what?
much.
I have
those
seen
unwritten rules.
People fired for what they said.
What they said?
It's weird. I had a coworker, and they were walking him, and I said, "Where you going?" He's like, "I got let go." I'm like, "What? What happened?" He was having a conversation with this
woman,
female.
Yes.
And some people don't like the word female, but I was in the military, and that's what your name is, female. So.
Okay.
So, she was a female, they were having a conversation, and I guess they played a little bit, and all it took was one time, I guess something happened where somebody had asked one of them out. Somebody asked somebody out, and, she asked him out, let's just be clear. She asked him out, and he was like, nah, I'm cool, we co-workers or whatever, and she didn't like it, and she went to HR, even though she's the one who asked him out, and they told him, we don't really do... where we go somewhere and when you're starting to work somewhere, check the fraternization policy.
Or just don't do it.
Or just don't.
I mean, I've seen where people were co-workers and they ended up getting, married or whatever. But like you said, I don't know. It's a slippery slope. It's a lot of people in this world.
It's a very slippery slope.
And, it's 1,000,001 people. And if your person might be at work, but some kind of way if you guys are meant to be together,
it'll work out somewhere else.
The 6 degrees of separation. I might be at Jill's party and he might show up and I'll be like, oh, hey.
Right.
But I think I just think that goes into like, you know, a code of professionalism.
Yeah,
like, don't flirt, don't say anything that can be misconstrued. Keep it real basic. I mean, I used to tell my mentee, who was a male, and I mean, he was younger, you know, and we had some very flirtatious parents and, you know, even coworkers.
That's a fight that he was going to have to fight as a young man.
As a young man. So, you know, I would just tell him, I was like, first of all, leave your door open. If you ever need another person there where you feel uncomfortable, invite another female coworker in there with you to have those conversations so that nothing can go, you know, the wrong way. Make sure nothing you say can be like interpreted the wrong way, which is hard in itself because, you know.
But you have to be clear and concise because unfortunately, as women, we have those unwritten rules. But as men, if something were to be said, if you were accused, either way it go, it's not going to look good for you. And the majority of the time, you're going to be reprimanded, even if you didn't do anything. And that's
leave nothing up to chance.
Especially as a black man, though, because that feeling of, for some reason, what we've seen is that America feels intimidated by black men. They don't feel safe. And somebody will say, well, he was walking behind me, I didn't feel safe. Or da, da, da. So what I realized is, right. But I realized is like, I have a homeboy. Real. He said he doesn't walk directly behind women. He'll walk on the other side. Like, so that it's just a feeling. Like, they can see him out of his peripheral. It's so weird. And I'm like, I never thought about that. But I can understand it. It makes him feel safer, but also they feel safer. Like, you know, you don't feel like you're going to come up behind them and tackle them down. It's crazy.
And you know what? The bigger you are, the more careful you have to be.
Listen. Or, I mean, yeah. It's just... This is going to sound weird. I don't even know if I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say it. But sometimes it even gets down to the darker you are.
I mean, colorism plays. Yeah. And your tone of voice, the way you talk, you know, if you're from a place where, you know, you talk more aggressive, it would definitely be something you would have to consider. I know
all about talking aggressive.
So, all right.
Those unwritten rules.
But let's wrap it up. Finishing thoughts. What's one piece of advice you have for the people about being black and work?
You might have to find a way to be yourself outside of just being black. And what I mean by that is let your work be... You may have to come in every day. What's her name? Janelle Monáe, when she first came out on the scene, she wore a uniform all the time. And she said it was in honor of her parents who wore a uniform every day and they showed up and they, you know, but she was still herself and she still stuck out, right? So you may have to look like everybody else. Say if you even go in the military, you look like everybody else. But what's going to be that one thing that's still going to be true to Alesheia, right? And still be, I mean, you can still be black, proud. Right. But honor your people and honor yourself, right? And all that you do. And I think that that's the biggest thing that you can take away to the honor part, right? No dishonor.
Yeah.
Just honor.
I like it. I think mine would be to know and respect your unwritten rules, whether it is the rules of being a woman or the rules of being a man, the rules of being black, white, light, dark, it doesn't matter. But respect them because it could be the difference between employment and unemployment until you are in a position where your rules can change because you are now in charge, and then create a space where others can come behind you and not have to follow as many rules.
My advice would be to go to work and become the person you want to be. So what do I mean by that? I mean, if you are in corporate and you want to be the CEO, come in as a CEO would. Dress the part.
Like it. Be the CEO.
Look the part. If you're not big on etiquette, but you want to be invited to the dinner parties, watch YouTube videos. They'll show you which fork to use. If you want to, you know, be able to sit at the table with all the big guys, the big wigs, watch people have conversations. Listen to what they're interested in. If they talk about playing tennis and golf, learn about tennis and golf because you never know, because that's where the deals are probably being made. So become the person you want to be. I'm not saying, you know, fake it till you make it. Not really in that sense, but what I'm saying is become that person. Become that person because you're not faking it anymore, right? You're becoming who you want to be. If I have to treat myself as a CEO, I have to do these things.
I like it.
So
be who you
that's
want.
That's my takeaway.
Amen.
So yeah, all right. This was episode 8. It was episode 8.
Episode 8.
All right, thanks for watching.
Ready.
Bye.
Bye.